So Ableton's iOS app Note got a brand new update, and this is version 1.6, which is currently in beta. And the major addition is the sample slicing feature that we got on Ableton Move a couple of months ago. The latest stable version, however, is 1.5, which added access to the full drift device. And there's one small caveat with that, and we're gonna get into it a bit later in the video, but first we're gonna have a look at the sample slicing in the 1.6 beta. Now, before we get into it, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't yet. We're almost at 30k subs, and your support really means a lot to me. So most of you are probably aware that Note and Move are kind of the same thing. Essentially, they are stripped down mobile versions of Ableton Live. So most of the features we get on Move also come to Note. And from my observations so far, Ableton's priority for Move and Note is clean and easy to use UI and workflow, instead of adding a lot of features, which kind of makes sense for products that are meant to be sketchpads and not something you produce and finish an entire track on. So I'm using Note on the iPad because it's more comfortable and easier to film for the video, but it's going to work the same way on your iPhone. And if you want to join the beta and try the new features, you have to go to the help section of Note. There will be a link to join the beta. And you will also have to install an app called TestFlight, which is used for beta testing on iOS. So slicing works pretty much the same way it does on Move, but with better visual feedback. So what we do is first we load a drum kit. So we go to Templates, Drum Kit, and out of this empty drum kit, we want to load a sample. I've imported some of my own loops to the user library. And if you're not aware, you can also import video files and use their audio. Like you can screen record stuff on your phone and sample it really easily. But here I'm using one of my own loops. So just hit it and it's already loaded. So we press the three dots up here and we choose Slice Sample. By default, it's divided into 8 equal sections. And with this slider, we can specify the number of slices up to 16 slices. Again, exactly the same way it works on Ableton Move. And with each slice, you can of course change the starting point with these slice markers. That's pretty much it. Go back and the sample is sliced. Now, unfortunately, these are now separate samples, so we cannot modify them all at once, but these are all chops now, and they are added to a choke group, so they cut each other off. Okay, just as a side note, before we lay down our sample chops, let me show you one cool trick for drums that I found. I already have a drum pattern going. And I have this very straight 8th note hi-hat. But we can add some really cool groove to it by going to the second page here on our drum sampler settings. So I've got the effect set to stretch, and you just increase the grain size and the stretch factor, and it kind of acts like a note repeat, but much better because it's not quantized, and you can set it to a value that grooves nicely with your drums. Here's what I mean. It kind of sounds really nice and humanized. I just added some grain size and stretch factor. And since the new auto filter is also on Note, we can go to Kit Effects and add some auto filter. Alright, so let's check out the Drift Synth update, and I covered this in my last video for the Move update, and here it works in a very similar way. And instead of just the macros, you can now access the full synth with all the parameters. But the caveat that I mentioned in the beginning is that unlocking the full Drift Synth is an in-app purchase, so this is not a free update. Just to be clear, if you don't get the in-app purchase, you still have Drift in your Note app, but you only have the presets and the macros. so you don't get access to the full engine to make sounds from scratch or do in-depth tweaks to your synth sounds. And by the way, if you purchase Drift inside the beta version, it actually doesn't charge you, so you can try it for free until the beta expires, and it costs like $5 anyway, so it's not a big deal. And considering you can't actually upload presets that you made on your computer, this is in fact the only way to make custom synth patches for notes. Someone correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think exporting Drift presets still only works for Ableton Move. So let's add Drift to this project, hit the plus sign, just go to our templates. I'm gonna add analog drift, like a basic drift patch. And with this tiny arrow up here, you can access all the settings of drift. So let's try to make a lead synth. Gonna go to global and make it monophonic. Actually, I'm gonna pitch up this oscillator. And as you can see, some of the parameters are locked because they are assigned to the macros. You can just unlock them by hitting remove all macros when you attempt to tweak such a parameter. Let's add some legato. Add some filter. Modulation to the filter with envelope 2. And let's add some effects, you know, some delay. But yeah, we have pretty much all the parameters of drift, the oscillators, filters, envelope, LFO, the modulation matrix, and the global settings. That's all for this video. If you missed the last one for the Ableton Move update, you can watch it here, and I'll catch you later.